We have to get to the factory amplifier. All the research I've done shows it's behind this panel. Which I thought it'd be behind this panel, but I didn't know it would be like directly behind this panel. There's a foam splash guard over the top of it, and we have 4 10mm bolts. This Bose amplifier looks very familiar. It looks just like the Bose amplifier that they use in all the General Motors cars, which could be really good for us. We might be able to find a harness that plugs into it. If anyone ever wanted to see a Bose amp, this is it in all its glory. This is the standard Bose connection, so we will have a harness that's going to work with this. I was hoping we would have enough room for our amplifier to go in here. They have another water barrier right here, leading me to believe that there is going to be liquid that's going to get into this. We're still probably going to have to pull this assembly apart to get to this area here if we go with the amplifier in this area. I'm also thinking that it might be better to go down here up underneath the seat. Now it's time to do a little bit of exploring and figure out what will work best for our application. The amplifier we're going to be using is the XR401.4 4-channel high-res audio amplifier. Inside the box, it does come with a bass knob, and this is a Kenwood bass knob. This is the same one that works on all their amplifiers. We won't be using it for this installation. Comes with an owner's manual and some screws for the bass knob and the amplifier itself. Aside from the fact that the amplifier is high res, one of the other reasons I like this amplifier is how thin it is. It is 1 3/8 tall. That's it. I mean, it's nothing. On this end, we have two 30-amp fuses, a 4-gauge power and ground input, remote turn on. Front speaker comes first, then the rear speakers, left then right. The positives are these colored in circles here, so the positives are on the outside, negatives are on the inside, and the amplifier is bridgeable. That's why it comes with the bass knob, so that you can use this to do, let's say, a front and a sub. It has channel A input, channel B input. On the other side of the amplifier, we see that subwoofer input. First up is input selection. You can use all 4 inputs or just channel A input. The reason for that is if you are going to be using it to, let's say, power up that subwoofer and you just have a left and right input, you could use that to power the whole amp to fill in for the subwoofer. If you have something that has a subwoofer level control, or in this case has 4 outputs, we'll be using all 4. We'll be using the AB input. Gain control between 5 and 0.2 volts on both front and rear. The crossover for channel A is low pass, off, or high pass. For channel B is low pass, off, or high pass. Then we have what's called high frequency range or low frequency range for both front and rear. This is where this amplifier gets unique. It is capable of 50 to 200 hertz or 2.5K to 10,000 hertz on both channels. This amplifier can do bi-amp or active crossovers for the tweeter and the mid-range. That's the other reason why we chose that amp. So channel 1 and 2, we can use this to cross over the tweeters. Channel 3 and 4, we can use this to cross over the mid-range. The one thing it does not do is provide a bottom for the mid-range. So just like a passive crossover, it will give you the bottom for the tweeter, the top for the mid-range, and the bottom, meaning how low will this play, it has to be done from another unit. In this case, like the source unit that we'll be putting in, we could set that bottom for the mid-range or the high-pass crossover wherever we need it, and this amplifier will do that for us. It's a really cool feature that not a lot of amplifiers have. Let's take this over into the car and figure out where we're going to put it. Looking up underneath the seat, the amplifier has plenty of room. It will clear, no issues, which is what I was hoping, and I liked this amplifier for this installation. A couple other nice things that we have when we're running the wire. Underneath the hood on this side, there are some holes that look very promising. I've put my hand up onto the firewall. And where these two little holes are located, there doesn't seem to be anything there. I haven't been able to touch these yet, but this area I have been, because I can grab onto this and move across. I haven't gotten low enough to feel those yet. I'm gonna go next door and grab the GM harness for the amplifier. We'll have to make and repin that according to however Mazda's running their wiring, but let's head over to the bench. To integrate into the Bose amplifier, Metra makes this GM harness here, the 70-2054. It might not be pinned right, but it's the harnesses that we need, meaning the plastics. We take these over to the car, we can figure them out. The other nice thing too is this one, which I think is an older version of the harness. I don't think the newer version has all this wiring. I think it's just a short 6-inch. I could be wrong, but it has plenty of wiring on it, so we can use this to go to our new amplifier. Two harnesses, one fairly large, but only has 8 wires in it, 6 of which are full. On that, there's a big blue and a big black. Those are the power and ground. We want to make sure we stay away from those. And conveniently enough, this harness isn't pinned where those 2 wires are. This one isn't going to plug in, and the reason for that is on the back of the harness, there's 2 teeth, and this only has a provision for 1 tooth. We can remove the one that is in our way because it will not affect how the system plugs into the factory amplifier. Let's see if the other one lines up. Plugs in. Have our 2 harnesses, tone generator. In this harness, we have the signal. They have a big fat gray wire. We can move those out of the way. We've already tested this pink and purple, which we know aren't what we need. Another one above it. So that is our driver's tweeter. This is the passenger side, and this is the driver's side. The other wire I want to find is the remote turn on, the one that comes from the radio back to here. I just want to use that one since it's already wired up in the harness. Behind the radio, the factory plug, when it plugs in, and I look at the blue-white wire, there's a pink-black wire on the opposite side of it. There's also a pink-black wire back here, and that wire doesn't have anything pinned into it. Looking at the back of the harness, it is the second pin in this harness. So what I'm doing is I'm testing for continuity between the wire behind the radio with this probe, and I'm testing the wire here, this end, with this probe. I have my meter set to continuity, which is this radiating line right here, and when it makes that beeping sound, I know that wire is connected. That means I can repin the harness using one of the wires that I don't need for my remote turn on and just use the factory remote turn on down to my amplifier along with the speaker wires. Pretty convenient. That means the only thing I have to run up to the radio is a set of RCAs. I'm gonna go over to the bench and pull some wires out of the harness. With this harness, there's these 2 clips on either side. The top one here doesn't have any wiring in it, but we need to remove it. That's where the new remote turn on wire is gonna go. This really doesn't have any good like wire coloring combinations. Thought is to just remove wiring from holes that we don't need. These are the 4 we need. We'll just remove the rest. Those wires out, put one of the locks back into place, and we could start pulling these out of the bundle of wires. I'm not a fan of this, but when we're done, we can twist them all together and make a nice harness as opposed to this. The remote turn on that we'll be pinning in is located on the second one here on the bottom. Clip that in, and there we go. On the bigger harness, this piece here comes off similar to these, and you can poke in and get those out, which I've already done. I'm gonna put these in the vise and twist our pairs together so that it just doesn't look like a mess. This is what I've come up with for the harness. I Y-taped it here, brought the tape all the way down here to this, cut it a lot shorter. We didn't need it that long, and I still don't actually need it this long. Put some heat shrink on the end here to protect the tape so it won't unravel. And I'm gonna set this aside for right now because I need to hop into the car now and build the amp rack in order to hold it up underneath the seat. This is the area here that we want to mount the amplifier. The speaker wire is going to come up and come around and come through this factory hole here. I'm going to use these 2 bolts for mounting for this. I need to make a piece that kind of goes around here, up, and then into this area. I just need to get a tape measure and some paper.